Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And we're going to give you all kinds of different opportunities to tune in and interact with us. One, as always, is on your radio at KDOW 1220 AM. You could also tune in live online if you're anywhere outside of our listening area. You could go to kdow.biz and then click on the button that says Listen Live, and you'll be able to listen to the show live anywhere during this time frame, as long as you could access that internet online. Also, we're on Facebook on a live feed, so you could interact with us, hopefully enjoy the show, and let us know what you think. Chime in, ask us questions, anything you'd like. On the live portion of the show, you could also call in and ask questions if you'd like to do that. 1-800-516-1220, 1-800-516-1220 if you want to get your calls on the air during the live portion here. You could also text questions in if that's easier for you. You could do that by using area code 408-838-9060 if you want to text your questions in during the show. All right, most of you know, live show Monday through Friday from 3 to 4. And if you don't happen to catch the show, we want to be able to have you download the podcast. So be sure to do that. If you go to iTunes and type in Real Estate Radio Live, you could download the podcast, or you could do it from our website at reradiolive.com. All right, today I am going to talk about the 8 practical reasons for accessing or leveraging equity from your home. Again, the 8 practical reasons for accessing or leveraging equity from your home. Most people understand that or really realize how they could do this. Now, there are some people that it's an actual, it's against any kind of thought process at all to access equity from their home for any reason at all. But I'm here to tell you that, I've been in this business for 20 years, and I've seen everything in the terms of real estate. I've seen everything in terms of financing, what people do, what people shouldn't do, how people leverage, how people shouldn't leverage, risks people take, and probably risks they shouldn't take. We've all learned, I'm sure, to a certain extent. But I'm going to go through the 8 things that I think that are practical reasons why people could access equity or leverage equity from their home. And I personally think these are all suitable, good ideas depending on where you are in the equity in your property, depending on what you're going to use it for, and then also depending on what the overall loan to value is on your property. That could have something to do with it as well. All right, so let's start. Number 1, these aren't in necessarily order, but number 1, paying off a second. So you've heard me talk about this a lot. Using your equity in your home to pay off a second lien on your property is a good idea. The reason why is this lien is on your property. It's part of your home. So it makes sense, especially in a market like this where interest rates are going up. I encourage people, if you're not going to pay down or pay off that equity loan, time to roll it together, wrap it up, roll the first and second together, and get yourself a blended rate, a better rate than you have on the seconds. Again, the home equity line of seconds typically are prime plus something. Prime, I think, is 4.25%, I believe. So you could have interest rates in 5.5% right now, interest only on your home equity line, and they're only going to go up. The talk is that next year, or the feedback, the data, the statistics, not statistics, but the information that we're getting would suggest that the Fed's going to raise at least 3 times next year, at least a quarter. So that could put us up there quite a bit. So, number one, not necessarily in this order, again, paying off a first or consolidating a first and second. All right, the next one is a remodel or add-on. Again, this makes all kinds of sense. If you have equity in your home and you've always wanted to remodel or add on or expand, it makes all kinds of sense. Now, again, as I make these suggestions, please know that there's a logical component of this. And what I mean by that is, the more equity you have in your home, the more flexibility you have. I wouldn't suggest, for instance, if you needed $200,000 to do a remodel on your home, I wouldn't suggest by taking that $200,000 you were going to go over and above 80% or more loan to value, if that makes sense. So the reason why is that gets a little bit risky, and I would be really careful of that. In other words, let's say your home's worth $1 million. I would be careful of, no matter what you do, to not exceed a loan amount of $800,000 on that property, if your property is worth $1 million. Here's the reason why. You're getting into dangerous territory if you go above 80% for a number of different reasons, number one. Number two, if you have any kind of market correction, and we've had quite a run-up, as most of you know, if your home now worth $1 million today, and we get some kind of a market correction or adjustment, and now your home's worth $800, $900, $700, that's another reason to be careful. You have that 20% cushion in there. So my recommendation in all these things that I'm going to talk about today, I would not recommend that you exceed an 80% loan to value as we go through these. Okay, so number two would be use the money to add on or remodel. It's a great use of money on your equity. The reason why, the obvious one, is that you're putting your invested equity right back into your property. You're putting it right back into your appreciating asset, your home, your property. $200,000 on a remodel, especially if you pull permits and add square footage, or a new kitchen or a new bathroom, things that are going to really add more value to that property. All right, so number three, remodel or add on for another property. What do I mean by this? Let's say you have multiple properties. Let's just, for sake of ease in this conversation, let's say you have two properties. You have a primary residence and a second home and maybe an investment property. And you talk to your CPA and you really need to put some money into a remodel on your second home or maybe an investment property. Maybe it needs some work. Maybe you need to add another room, living room, whatever. It could make sense. Could make a lot of sense. Always, the other caveat here, you'll hear me say quite a bit, before you make these moves, always check with, I would check with two people if you don't work with two. Certainly a CPA. And then also a lot of people, myself and a lot of people I know, we have financial planners, financial advisors. It's always a good practice to check with them to get their feedback and see what they think, because sometimes they might have some insight or they may have some suggestions that you may not know about. Or maybe you're on a plan to retire at a certain year, or you need some money for college education, and they say, whoa, wait a minute, before you go pulling that money out for your remodel, Johnny's got to go to college in a couple of years, so keep an eye on that. So if you have a financial planner, double check with he or she, and then also the same on a CPA level. Again, this would be number three would be pulling out equity of one home and using it to put into another property. That would be number three. Number four, pay down or pay off another property. That's right. So I've had clients do this before. Equity in one home to pay down or pay off a loan on another property. I've seen this happen several times. Someone will say, they have a $3 million home, primary residence. They owe $200,000 on it. They have a rental property over here that they owe $300,000 on. And they talk to their financial planner and their CPA, and they say, why don't you just pay that $300,000, $200,000, whatever number we use for an example today. Why don't you just take the equity out on your primary residence and pay that loan off, so now you own that rental property free and clear. Again, I'm not saying this is right for everybody, but what I'm saying is I've seen people do this before, and it works for a strategy for their particular model and their profile. I've seen it done. And, it works really well. Again, number four, use your equity to pay down or pay off another property. say a second home or rental property or something of that nature. All right, number 5, down payment for another purchase. Now, this is where some people will, on the conservative, if someone's very conservative, they'll most likely tell you, I am not going to, no matter what I do, Joe, I'm not touching the equity in my house. That is my house. I want to pay it off. When I pay it off, I'm going to have a party. I'm going to celebrate, and I'm never going to put another loan on that house again as long as I live. I get it. This is the beautiful part about America, and everybody makes their own free choices, right? Some people, it is a absolute sin of every type of category to take equity out on their primary residence for anything. Their strategy would be, don't do anything to that property, but pay down the loan until you get it completely paid off, and then never put another loan on it again, and that's okay. So, again, different philosophies, different thoughts, different models. This doesn't fit for everybody, but these are the 8 things that I'm going through with you that I'm suggesting that are very practical things to use to pull equity out of your home. All right, I'm going to take my first break. When I come back, I am going to continue talking about the 8 things that I would consider practical reasons for accessing equity or leveraging equity from your home. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Give me a call if you'd like to ask any questions, 1-800-516-1220. We'll be back with you to continue in just a couple of minutes. The live portion will be back in about 2 minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all 3 services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We are with you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4. Be sure to tune in a couple different ways. KDOW 1220 AM on your radio. You could tune in at KDOW.biz live online and click on the button to listen live. You could watch our live feed on Facebook, interact. I did get one text and an email here about some questions about pulling equity and consolidating, so I'll try to read that. It's always good to read them if I can on the radio because typically people are listening and I could get their questions answered while I'm doing this show. So let me answer that real quick. So the question is regarding your show currently live online, I'm inquiring about consolidating my mortgage loan. I'm inquiring about consolidating my first and second loans. I have a couple of questions. Wondering what type of documents are provided and what other strategies I might have. Can I look at potential ARMs or fixed? And they go on to say I have excellent credit score and a couple other things for information. So it's good to know someone's listening. Very good. There's someone out there listening. Yay. Love it. All right, so I will respond to this text and I'll respond to the email when the show is over. But these are, the reason I love this show and the reason I enjoy this show is to, you have these engaging conversations with people sometimes on or off the air, and then you also have the ability to share information, I think, that helps people make these wise decisions. And to me, that's exciting. If we as an industry could continue to inform and educate, I think that's the best thing we could do, in my opinion. There's too much in any industry, let alone ours. But when I say ours, real estate and lending industry, in my opinion, there's way too many people that don't do a very good job at educating and informing their clients. They're just interested in getting them in, getting the commission, getting the deal closed, and going on to the next. And the way, in my opinion, you grow a business, you grow trust, you grow relationships, you get more referrals, is when you do the best job you can and take care of each individual and make sure you try to meet their needs or exceed their needs each and every time. And that's what we'll continue to try to do. So that's a good question. All right, let me read the text question real quick, and then I'll get back to the top 5. And that is, let's see, wave hi. Okay, someone's asking 2 or 3 people, wave hi. Hi, how's everybody doing out there? All right, so the text question is, are you aware of a good real estate agent in the Fremont or Milpitas area? Yes, I am. Let me get that information to you off air, and once I finish the show, I will text or email that back to you. Again, the question on the text is, do you have a recommendation or referral for a good real estate agent in the Fremont or this area? Yes, I do, and I will get that information to you after the show. Okay, so let me get back to the 8. Today I'm talking about the 8 reasons or 8 practical reasons for accessing or leveraging equity from your home. I do believe there's some great opportunity to leverage and access equity from your home. I know a lot of people, again, will frown on this, and in some cases, again, these are just personal choices. That's all those are. But the things that I'll go through quickly, the things that I'm not a fan of for accessing equity from one's home. That's for items like, I want to pull money out to buy a speedboat. I want to pull money out to buy a $50,000 sports car. I want to pull money out to, I don't know. There's all kinds of things to spend money on. Build a bridge in my backyard, I don't know, to my neighbor so I could irritate my neighbor. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I would say don't access equity from your home. But these are the 8 things that I see over the 20 years of doing this business that I think are great. So, again, let me go through. I got through 5, so let me just run through them real quick again. And then there's no order in this. In other words, there's no specific order. But just real quickly, 1 through 5 was paying off a second, remodeling or an add-on. 3 was to remodel or take equity out to remodel or add on another property. 4 was to use equity for down payment to pay off another property, and pay down or pay off another property. And then 5 was we just started to get to this just when we were coming to segment 2. Number 5 is down payment for another purchase. Now, this is where some people might draw the line and say, no, I'm not going to pull out equity in my home to use it for a down payment on another purchase. Well, again, personal choices, but you've heard me say this many times, and this is not a statement for everybody to go out and do this. But what I'm about to say is I've seen hundreds of people become extremely wealthy and build wealth through real estate by accessing equity from one property and buying another property, and then letting that grow, and then accessing more, and then letting that grow, and then selling that property and taking equity. I mean, there's 1031s exchange programs too. My point here is, if you do this strategically and you do it wisely and you're due diligent and you plan and you forecast and you consult with smart people and you consult with your financial planner, your CPA, you talk to people that have done this before, I see people build an incredible amount of wealth through leveraging real estate. And so there's nothing wrong with it. Again, I realize some people are totally against this, and that's fine. I mean, can you imagine a world where everybody agreed and did the same thing and thought the same thing? It'd be boring. The point is, do it responsibly And my rule of thumb, again, never, if you can, never exceed that 80% loan to value. Again, if your home is worth $1 million, do not leverage that property more than $800,000 in this particular example. Don't do that. All right, so number 6, pay down or pay off non-tax deductible debt. All right, so this happens. This is a reality. I'll give you examples. I know most of you listening to the show or watching the show might know yourself, someone else you know that's done this, right? Something comes along and you get into debt. You get into debt with credit cards. Could be a number of different reasons. Irresponsibility, could be medical bills, could be an emergency, could be something happened unforeseen. I mean, all kinds of things. We're not here to judge anybody. This is just real life that happens. It is. It's real life that happens. And so we've been there. We've seen people that have done this, right? All of a sudden you got $50, $60, $100, $150,000 worth of debt with credit cards, personal loans, maybe auto loans, really high interest rates. And all the worst part about this kind of debt is it's not tax deductible like your mortgage is. So let's say you have $100,000 worth of credit card debt and maybe some personal loans, some tax liens or something. I mean, it could be any number of reasons of why this debt exists. And that would be another good reason to consolidate and pay. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. If you have $100,000 of debt, and let's just say it's a combination of credit cards, personal loans, and tax liens or something. Let's say blended, those interest rates on all that debt is 10 or 11%. Could be, right? Some credit cards are 15, 20, 25%. 10 or 11%. And you could consolidate that and roll it into one loan and maybe get 4% or less. I mean, how good would that be, right? To get yourself out of debt, to consolidate, to reduce your monthly liabilities, and then at the same time, and here's the other part, is it becomes a tax deduction for you. All right, we're going to take our second break. We're going to come back. We're going to continue to talk about the 8 practical reasons for accessing or leveraging equity in your home. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Check in, give us a text, give us a call, 1-800-516-1220. I'll be with you to continue the live show back in about 2 minutes or so.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Sadly, tragedies are part of our life. When faced with these tragedies, it's important that we rally together as a community to help those in need. Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live. As a way for our team here at Real Estate Radio Live to give back to our friends and neighbors affected by the tragic North Bay fires, we'll donate a percentage of every loan or every real estate transaction closed between October and December 2017 directly to the fire victims. Considering the average loan amount and real estate transaction amount, we are hoping to donate about $2,500 per transaction. So if you or anyone else you know is in the market to buy or sell, finance a purchase, or simply need a refinance, remember, we'll donate a percentage of our team's commission for each and every transaction. 100% of all the donations will go directly to the fire victims. For more information, please contact us at 408-838-9060 or go to RERadiolive.com.
Real estate broker Cal DRE 413-1002, NMLS 3233.
Hi, this is Joe Kuchera of Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We are your go-to resource for all aspects of real estate, including buying, selling, refinancing, building, and legal and tax advice, and much more. You can subscribe to Real Estate Radio Live podcast on iTunes and Stitcher to listen to an engaging discussion about anything and everything real estate. So make sure you get our app, RE Radio Live, in the iTunes store to follow the show. Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live and Bay Area Mortgage Planner. In addition to being your home financing expert, please remember you could always contact me for other trusted advisors such as realtors, financial planners, and CPAs. Please feel free to contact me at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060, or email joe at reradiolive.com. or visit my website at reradiolive.com for more details.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We are in the third segment of 4 segments here on the show every day, 1 hour live. We have our show between 3 and 4. Tune in, KDOW 1220 AM. Also be sure to download the podcast. Go to iTunes and type in Real Estate Radio Live, or you could go to our website, reradiolive.com, and download the podcast. Be sure to follow the show. Let us know what you think. During that break, we also had another inquiry about consolidating or using equity. That's good. This topic is lighting people up today. It's good to see. Good to see a lot of activity. People are trying to figure out, what should I do? Can I leverage? Can I put myself in a better position? It's great to see. I love the interaction. If anybody has any questions, you want to get your calls on the air. A lot of people just don't want to be on the air, but I'll challenge you out there. Come on, someone call. We get a lot of text and a lot of emails during the show, which is great. I love those too. But love to have people call too. 1-800-516-1220. Get your calls on the air. Some people get a little nervous about that, but it's a lot of fun to get those calls because everybody could hear the questions, and I certainly enjoy those. So if you have any questions out there, we have a couple segments left. Give us a call, 1-800-516-1220. Maybe you have some questions about your equity, how to use your equity, anything at all. Doesn't have to be about today's topic, anything. Could be about any topic or anything at all. All right, so let's get back to the 8 practical reasons why one might access or leverage equity from their home. And when I left the last segment, we were at number 6, and that was to pay off non-tax deductible debt. So we discussed that. I'll just cover that real quick again. This is probably one of the most popular ones. For what other reason, doesn't matter. People accumulate debt, and there are some, most of us or most people would say, well, there's some good debt. Some people would say there's no such thing as good debt. Two things that don't go together. Some people will say there's debt and there's bad debt, and there's debt but there's not good debt. Well, I would argue that there is better debt. Better debt is a mortgage because right now, anyway, the Congress hasn't screwed things up, and hopefully they won't, and take that tax deduction away from us. But the good thing about a mortgage is you have 100% tax deductible on the interest of that mortgage. Remember, just the interest. And then when you have a home, of course, you also have the ability to write off your property tax. Those are tax benefits. Those are advantages. And then you have home, you have equity growth, hopefully, and you have home ownership. It's good stuff. Most people aspire to do that. So paying off debt is a good thing. I used the example. I'll do it one more time before we move along, and that is, if you have blended debt of ratio. Let's say you have blended debt of about 11 or 12%. That's high. And those credit cards, as most of you know, and some of these loans, they're paying interest only, so you're never making any progress on them. So we do have a situation where it makes sense sometimes when people will consolidate and take, for example, we're talking about today, $100,000 of this type of debt, roll it into one loan, consolidate, get a lower interest rate. And the last thing I want to say about this, and you'll hear me say this a lot too, be careful automatically when you assume, Joe, I don't want to consolidate my first and second because I have such a great first. Not before you say that. It's okay to say it. But after you say it, let's talk more about that. Because you could have a great interest rate. You could have a 3.5% interest rate fixed on your 30-year, right? But if you have 12 or 13% interest rate on your $200,000 or $300,000 home equity line or debt, when you blend those together, let's say 3.5, 11, 14 divided by 2, so you might be paying 6.5 or 7% on your blended interest rate. Now, that will depend on the formula, the size of your first loan, the size of your second loan, right? But you see what I'm getting at here. don't automatically think just because you have such a great first loan that it doesn't make sense to roll together the first and second. I've talked about this before. Do the exercise. Do the math. If you have a 3.5 or this great interest rate, yeah, I agree with you. I hate to lose that. But don't do it out of pride or stubbornness and losing money because of it. I mean, if you have a 12, 13% interest rate over here, and you could take that money and roll it together, and maybe you have now you have 4.5% on all that money instead of, a blended 6 or 6.5. It's better. And if you get a principal and interest loan, you're making payments against that principal versus an interest only where it's a false payment. All you're doing is making the interest payment. All right, so that's number 6. Again, these aren't necessarily in a certain order. They're just 8 practical reasons why a person might access equity from the property. This is one that, again, I might get a little pushback or people might frown or give me a funny look or funny face, but use the equity to start a business or subsidize a business. That's right. I see it on a fairly regular basis, and sometimes people do it and they don't tell you, and it's no one's business, quite frankly. So what my point is I've done this several times for people. People will come to me and they'll say, Joe, I want to cash out. My home's worth $2 million. I owe $300,000. I want to take another $200,000. I'm going to start a business I've always wanted to start. I'm going to start this business. It's a side business. I'm getting ready to retire. This is what I want to do. I'm going to transition out of here. This is my plan. Great. It's awesome. Start the business. Some people here in the Silicon Valley and all over the place, they have the startup, they have the entrepreneurial bug. And a lot of people, their dreams and aspirations are to start a business, own their own business, do their own thing. I love it. It's great. Why not? Right? Let me, for those that say, Joe, you're a nut, absolutely, I wouldn't recommend anybody do that. I would never do that. That's fine if it's for you. But let me run this by you real quick, a little philosophical approach here. What do you think's better? What do you think's better? A person sitting in their home, getting ready to retire, sitting on all kinds of equity. Let's say their home's worth $2 million and they owe $200,000, and they're sitting on that equity, and because of the guilt and because of people telling them, don't take that dream, don't work that dream, don't take that chance, they sit there for the next 30 years and they're miserable because they're second-guessing themselves their entire way instead of pulling that $200,000 out to start that business. Right? Could happen. Would you rather that, A, or B, person saying, you know what, I worked hard all my life, this has been my dream, I'm going to give it a shot, I'm going to pull out this $200,000, I'm going to start that business. And here's the other side. Here's the other thing that I would suggest when anybody thinks about something like this. I approach all this stuff with being in mind, what's the worst case scenario? I always approach everything as, if I make this investment or if I take this risk, what's assumable risk, what is the worst thing that could happen? In this case, we're losing this example right now. We're using a case where someone pulls $200,000 out to start a business, and their home's worth $2 million, and now they owe $400,000 on the house. Let's just say, for instance, the business went flop and it was the worst idea on the face of the earth. What happens? They have $200,000 extra on their loan. They still have a low loan payment. They still have a ton of equity in their house. They fulfilled or tried to fulfill a dream. And who knows, right? My point is, when I bring this stuff up, I bring it up just to engage. I bring it to really get people to think, to think out of the box, to understand that not everybody lives in the same realm. Not everybody thinks the same way. Thank God. And not everybody does things the same way. And so when I talk about these strategies or these different options, it's not that I'm endorsing them. It's not that I'm suggesting everybody go out and do it. What I'm spreading this information out for is because there might be one or two people out there that hear this show and they go, I never thought about that. That's a good idea. You know what? I could take $100,000 from my house instead of going to get a personal loan, get a better interest rate, start this business, do my remodel, I could do some interesting things. And so start a business or subsidize a business. That's something that people use the equity in their homes for. They do. It's just, it's a popular thing. I'm not saying it happens a lot. And the thing is a lot of people will get cash out on their property. And, they don't necessarily have to tell you exactly what they're using it for. A lot of people will just say, I'm using it to remodel, or I'm using it to add on, or I'm using it to, pay college debt or whatever. And that's prerogative. That's their prerogative. That's their choice. That's exactly the point behind all this. All right, so we got about a minute before the next break. So what I'm going to do is kind of set the stage here for the final segment of the show. Again, we're talking about the 8 practical reasons someone might access equity from their home or leverage equity. When I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about leveraging versus actually accessing, pulling it from it. How could you leverage the equity for another transaction? That's a little more tricky, but I'm going to talk about that when I come back. If you want to get your calls on the air, 1-800-516-1220 or text 408-838-9060. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We're talking about accessing equity.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending, and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all 3 services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We are in our last segment here of 4 segments. Thanks again for tuning in. A lot of activity today. Must have hit a little button, a little not soft point, but interesting point out there. A bunch of texts, a bunch of emails I'll get to you after the show. And then we had a caller that unfortunately dropped off too. And I think I got his name right. It was AK in San Jose. He had some questions about commercial property or commercial lending, maybe. I'm not sure. But AK, if you're out there, if you want to call us back, we have a couple more minutes, 1-800-516-1220 if you had questions about commercial. Or you could always text your questions in, 408-838-9060. We've got several texts and emails, again, for those that are kind enough to interact during the show and send me questions. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I will get back to those when the show comes to a conclusion here. All right, so just a couple minutes left. Number 8, number 8, the final one. Again, these aren't necessarily in any order. I just went through the 8 practical reasons someone might access equity from their home. So number 8 is an interesting one. And so it's not necessarily pulling equity from your home, but it's leveraging equity from your home. So for those that aren't familiar with that, I'll give you an example. And we've done these several times. Let's say you have a client that comes to us or someone that says, I'm trying to get some financing to purchase this home, Joe, this new home. I don't, I have $200,000 to put down. I realize I need $400,000 down to make this work, but I don't really want to use that extra $200,000. I don't have that $200,000 additional. What can I do, Joe? And one of the first things I'll say, what other assets or, what other appreciating assets do you have? Do you have investments? Do you have other properties? And he'll say, oh, yeah, I have a property that I own free and clear in San Francisco. Really? What is it? It's a condo. I own it free and clear, and it's worth $2 million. Perfect. Would you be receptive to potentially leveraging that property, what's called cross-collateralization? Would you be willing to cross that property to leverage equity from that property to help you secure a down payment for this other purchase? Sounds interesting. Explain a little bit more. So what we could do, not we personally, but we have our investment groups that could do. We have investors that will look at a property. Let's just say, for example, this one in San Francisco, okay? And he needs $200,000. It's owned free and clear. The investor puts a lien on that property for $200,000, and we, the same investor, uses that $200,000 that's sitting in that property as leverage, and they actually apply it towards the down payment on this other property. And I hope I'm making sense and you're following here. But the point I'm making is that you're not pulling money out of that property in San Francisco and paying on that. You're not pulling money from that property and making mortgage payments on it. No, you're leveraging. It's called cross-collateralization. You're crossing that property. You're using the collateral in that property to leverage another deal over here. That's genius, and sometimes that works great for people. It really does. I mean, think about this. This is cool. This is cool stuff. Think about it. You could leverage money from a property without pulling the money out of the property. Does that make sense? You could look at that property in San Francisco, and investors will put a lien on that property for $200,000, and you just assume that $200,000 is going to be applied towards this other transaction over here. It's beautiful. It's great stuff. A lot of people don't know this, and of course, you need to have another property to do that. And it could be commercial property too, by the way. You could cross a commercial property. You could use it as collateral. Some people will use other things for collateral. It's rare. The most common thing is property, real property, right? Commercial, residential. That's the most common. But some people will also cross and will collateralize other things. Accounts receivable, goods. That happens every once in a while. There are some interesting things that happen out there. So as I summarize today, I just want to kind of the summary of the show, and it's been a good one in terms of feedback. I must have at least 13 or 14 emails. I have 5 or 6 texts. Again, I'll get to them after the show. We got 2 calls, and it's been great interaction. So thank you. Thank you for those out there that are listening, tuning in, and asking some great questions. So the summary is this. If you are wondering what other things you could do by accessing or leveraging equity from your home, give me a call. Check in. Let me know. 408-838-9060. Most of you out there know how to reach me. If you've been listening to the show, go to reradiolive.com. Go to reradiolive.com. Shoot me an email. Give me a call. Let me know. I could walk you through it. It's all free. All this information's free. It's great. Hopefully you could use it to your benefit, and that is what the goal is, and that is what the plan is. So just remember, whether it's a primary residence, second home, we didn't really talk about leveraging money from investment properties. That's a little more tricky. It's a little more expensive, and you have to be careful for tax implications there as well. So we didn't really touch that piece. We could do it at another time. But the message today is you have some options. Exercise, look at those options, do your homework, consult with professionals, talk with your CPA, talk with your financial planner if you have one, kind of get an idea whether this stuff makes sense or not for you. And if it does, take a look at it. I could help walk you through it and do what we can for you. All right, I want to thank you all for checking in today. Again, RERadiolive.com. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Real quickly, be sure to tune in Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 Pacific Daylight Time, and keep an eye out on Facebook, streaming live. Thanks again for tuning in today. Joe Kuchera, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Tune in, log in, download our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com. RERadiolive.com.